Should be getting into it momentarily. There we go. Metallica's off the line. We're a little out of sync. That will be taken care of momentarily. So this track is very fast. There's a couple of very long straightaways and a couple of very tricky boosts to hold. Metallica holds the first hard one decently. Mystery Liquid does not. Metallica also did not hold the second tricky boost, though Mystery Liquid did. So they broke about even there. Metallica has a very slight lead coming out of this, but that can be made up very quickly in the hairpins. Or not the hairpins, the figure eight. This game has way more hairpin segments than any game should. Mystery Liquid held the harder boost. That is very surprising. Anyway, Andy, I monopolized that first lap. You have anything you want to say?
Yeah, just the basics. They're using Ben Codineros here, no character restrictions yet. And since he is the best character for everything but 2 tracks under upgraded conditions, he will see his full boost power.
Yep. We also saw Metallica come out about 2 seconds ahead following lap 1. Metallica did not hold the first hard boost, did hold the second. Liquid held both, so that made up a small amount of time. They both seem to know the optimal boost lines very well, and Liquid going hard on that line. This is actually looking very good out of both players. How are they this good at holding that boost?
In this game, you always have to know when to take risks and when not to.
Yes,
It's around 5 seconds to die.
Yeah, almost everything in this game is risky in some capacity, though. That is a 53 something for Metallica and a 55 for Mystery Liquid, so it's a 4-second lead at the moment. Still, this looks very strong from each player. Seems to be a pretty heavily practiced track for both of them. See, Mystery Liquid held that boost 3 out of 3 times. This track actually has some of the hardest to hold boosts in the amateur circuit, and that's the first death of the match for Mystery Liquid. That should just about seal this track for Metallica.
The doors are not random at all, they're on a cycle.
Yep. However, as with any match in this tournament, expect many deaths. This game is incredibly difficult, even for our top-level players. That's a 242 for Metallica in a race setting. That's pretty solid. See, and a 250 for Mystery Liquid. Also perfectly respectable for a race setting like this. Let's see how the bands go.
We get 2 global bands now by each player.
Track bands.
Track bands, yeah. And then we get a temporary track ban and a temporary Podracer ban.
All right. Let's see how the bands start going. Oh. Guy in chat who has no idea what's happening, feel free to ask any questions. We will do our best to answer. All right, Abyss is off the table. Inferno also off the table. Those 2 tracks are pretty difficult. They're both in what's called the Invitational Circuit, so the final set of 4 tracks. Fire Mountain Rally off the table, another very hard course. It's always in discussions for the hardest track in the game, and Bunta Classic taken off the table as well.
So we already banned 3 of the tracks that are considered the hardest.
Yes. Ben Quadraneros has also been banned as well for the next track.
When Ben isn't available, different players tend to have different characters they go to.
So, to answer the question in chat, this character is the best in the game because he is so much faster when he's boosting than anybody else.
And he can hold the boost the longest.
He cannot hold it the longest time-wise. He can hold it just as long as Mars distance-wise. Mars
Okay.
holds his boost the longest. And we are going to Adobe Mountain Run.
Grab Mine Gateway was banned, which is the other track considered the hardest.
Yes. So, Adobe's a moderately technical track. It has a fairly tricky hairpin section and a slightly difficult shortcut to execute. But overall, I'd call it a little above average for difficulty in the game. It's nothing crazy.
And what characters will we see? Mr. Liquid with Bowl Savour.
Yep, he's been practicing a lot of bowls lately. He basically just played it for like 6 hours last night.
Bowls is very similar to Ben, but his controls are worse. Much worse.
Yes. His controls take a lot of getting used to, but he can actually take a lot of turns more tightly than Ben. It's just harder.
And Metallica using Mahonic.
Mahonic is, if they're both played perfectly, slightly slower than Ben here. Or not Ben, Bowls here. He can't hold his boosts nearly as long, but he does handle much better. And since his boost thrust is very good, he can keep up through the majority of the track. Bowls simply gains a lot of ground in the 3 main straightaways. But Mahonic does gain a lot of time in the 2 major hairpin segments. Alright, coming off the line, and as you can see, Bowls holds his boost a decent chunk longer, and goes a little bit faster when he does it. Both players taking the correct line this time. We shouldn't be seeing too many players taking the scenic route anymore, but this track does split pretty readily. And much cleaner out of Metallica than Mystery Liquid through this first part of the hairpins. However, a solid hairpin 2 from both of them.
They can't use the best route yet in lap 1, because that shortcut opens up only after that.
Yes. Now this is about a... Oh! Mystery Liquid going too low on that jump. It is optimal. It's technically optimal to land before that jump, but it is much safer in a setting like this to land after it and just take it smoothly. But it looks like this Bowls practice is, in general, paying off. He's executing the trickier stuff with him decently.
And now this canyon part right here will be tricky with Bowls.
Yep, especially on R600. With Bowls, you can actually get better handling by lowering your traction even further and abusing sliding.
The R600 refers to the part of the Podracer for traction, because there are different upgrades you can get. And sometimes you want to get a worse traction part.
Okay. But clean tent entries from both of them. This is that shortcut. This is that shortcut Andy mentioned that opens up on lap 2. We don't know what the hell that tent is made out of that blows you up if you drive into it, but hey.
And you can't do it in lap 1. I've tried in many ways.
Yeah, nobody's ever found a way to clip into it on lap 1. It's unlikely that it's possible. So a significant lead coming out of these hairpins for Metallica. See, he lands there at about 212. Mystery Liquid's going to land there at probably about 224, 225. Maybe even later.
Yes, these characters are hard to control, especially these really fast ones because of their low traction.
However, the controls, once you get used to them, it really does feel like most other racing games. Everything's very responsive. It's just fast.
It's really well made, the controls.
And if he's saying that about the N64 version, you know it works well.
Yeah, I just did the 2.5 hour run on N64 today.
You're still an absolute madman for doing that.
For an arbitrary category.
Yeah. Clean 10th entry out of Metallica. This has been a very, very solid run from them so far.
He went for consistency, and it's paying off.
It's a very clean 10th entry from Mystery Liquid as well. These Endo Prime tracks, at least the 3 similar ones. Oh, that's Metallica's first death of the match on the hairpin too. You don't see that often out of these top level players.
He will quickly learn in this game that you can die everywhere.
Yes. Every single thing you see can kill you. And some things you can't see can kill you. There are plenty of invisible spots that just make you explode. One of them is at the bottom of this ramp that Mystery Liquid's jumping over. If you just land early and boost, it can decide to just blow you up because you catch a seam in the ground.
Mr. Liquid's engines are in terrible condition.
Yeah, those engine colors in the bottom left are to denote your engine's health. The redder it is, the worse condition it is. When it's dark red and blinking, your handling in that direction is much weaker. Or handling to the opposite side is much weaker, because you can't get as much thrust, and that's
some
most
characters have terrible repair rate.
Bowles is okay as far as I'm aware.
But Bido has a really terrible one.
Yes, and Mystery Liquid's opting not to repair this. He decided to go really hard for the finish. And a convincing win out of Metallica, about 18 seconds. Ben has been rebanned. But let's see where we go. I'm expecting Grabvine to get... Oh, Spice Mine has been banned.
Interesting.
From the amateurs, the amateur circuit runner is banning an amateur circuit track. Bumpy
playing
Breakers.
A long track.
It's a best of 9. Since these are relatively short, since most of the tracks in this game are relatively short, we actually do have the windows to make it a best of 9 for each match. Which lets us also get far more track diversity.
To that list of N64 racers, add Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah. Bowles Roar versus Smallhonic again, it looks like? No. Cy Younga. Which one does that replace again?
Mars Wall.
That makes sense. So Metallica is using an alternate skin that is within the game's that is within the original game. I believe you just have to put in a specific file name.
Yeah, they're otherwise identical.
Yes, the pod is identical to Mars Glow.
I think it is him. I'm not sure. I know the other one is Bullseye.
The other one is Jin Riso, which is Bullseye.
And completely on the left side, I think is Mars.
All the way to the left is Anakin, which this is not.
No, it's not Anakin. So don't take my word for that it is Mars. But is the
Cy Younga does replace Bullseye. Jin Riso replaces Mars Guo. I had it wrong.
So we're using Bullseye versus Bowles?
Okay, then.
But I thought it was weird. If it's just a reskin, the hitbox does not look like Mars.
Yeah, well, this one's Bullseye. But we are into it. Yeah, looking at that heat rate and heat rate and boost thrust. That is Bullseye.
And has the same voice too.
Yep. Oh, Mystery Liquid dies in the hairpin. This section is the very hard bit to execute on bowls. Looks like we're about 4 seconds out of sync. I will fix that. But yes, bowls is very tricky to execute for a lot of this track. Specifically on the hairpins and on the shortcut. However, what Bullseye makes up for by being easier to execute, he very much loses out in raw speed. What you get out of Bullseye is moderate top speed and the best handling in the game.
I think that you shouldn't confuse are just top speed and boost thrust.
Yes, every pod has the same non-boosting top speed at max upgrades.
Exactly.
Oh god, that is a mess of a shortcut attempt from Metallica. That was 2 deaths.
Oh god.
And Mystery Liquid opting for the safer shortcut and still dying.
A really rough bump is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hard track.
There's
It's a really hard track.
There's this famous skip here that skips like half the track.
There's also the anti-skip here. You can do the same famous skip in the opposite direction. And if you do it in the opposite direction and you die, it just respawns you up above.
That's wonderful.
We had that happen in tournament actually in round 1.
Like is that karma that speedrunners get for using skips?
I don't know. The game decided it had enough and decided to punish us back. So let's see how Metallica does through the hairpins. Clean through first. Clean through second, and Metallica's boosting through them. Mystery Liquid opting not to, just for safety. And that was very clean from Metallica. Oh, Mystery Liquid is actually boosting through some of them. Alright. Much cleaner hairpin that go around. Let's see how he does on the hairpin, which is actually a traditional one. Makes it through. Still a massive lead for Metallica, and made even bigger by Mystery Liquid forgetting about that soft turn. See how the shortcut goes for Metallica this go around.
I think a lot would have to go wrong for Metallica now.
Yeah, that was much better on the shortcut for Metallica.
Still died.
Hey, I'll take 1 death over 3. Oh, Mystery Liquid bounces off and hits that. And Metallica clips the inside tip of the hairpin. Yes, Metallica is the favorite for this. It just has far more playtime. Mystery Liquid's only been playing for a couple of months. His goal going into this was actually simply to take 1 track. But Metallica is looking dominant through this. Couple of mistakes, but aside from that one really bad shortcut attempt has been very solid. Mystery Liquid, I wouldn't say is tilted. I've known the guy for years. He doesn't really tilt easily. This is simply just his level of play. He hasn't been at it very long. And Metallica is one of our strongest no upgrades runners. That skill set does transfer over. It also doesn't help that Mystery Liquid chose to be on a very difficult to execute pod.
I mean, it would not be a surprise if the more skilled player would use bowls all the time.
Yeah. Oh, Metallica clean through the shortcut that time. A little bit of a bounce, but no damage.
Getting through that shortcut with minimal speed loss is one of the hardest things in the game.
Yes, I still can't do it. At least not consistently. I can do it maybe 1 in 4.
And there's that thing with that little pipe you go into before getting to the shortcut.
Yep.
You can clip between the wall and the pipe on the left side and skip the pipe altogether. But
I did
I've
not
talked
know
to
that.
Abe about this. I'm not sure if it is even faster.
I don't think it would be faster. It could potentially be more consistent if you practice that route. Alright, so that's going to be a 3-0 for Metallica. That was a rough race out of Mystery Liquid. Let's see where we're going. Ben continues to be off the table. Mystery Liquid just does not want to deal with that.
I
I
I'd
can't say I
say
blame
he
him.
should go with a track that Metallica doesn't expect and doesn't like.
I think we're going to get a Grabvine.
Yeah, that would be great. I haven't seen Grabvine yet in this tournament.
Mystery Liquid's also surprisingly good at Grabvine. There we go.
Ben is banned again.
And this Grabvine Gateway we're talking about is one of the hardest tracks in the game.
Howler Gorge is banned.
Yep. Alright, where to, Mystery Liquid? Scrapper's Run. Okay. That's an interesting option. There are 25 tracks in the game. And there are 21 racers, about 7 of which are viable. I think it's 7. Mars, Mac, Mahonic, Ben, Bullseye,
Bowls.
Bowls. Neva Key, technically.
Well, EB Endicott in RTA.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at this kind of setting. There's like one track Neva Key could work on.
What would that be?
Inferno, actually.
Inferno.
Yeah. If Bullseye isn't available, Neva Key is a very solid choice.
You should just all use slide parameter.
Or, we could not use him.
Or you can use him for 2.5 hours on N64.
Yeah. Hey, Arksaber, there is a way we're playing this. You're looking at it now. We have a very active Discord for this, actually. We've got, 300 people in there? I think we got 300 in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, we have over 400. Hey, you're here watching this. In general, for choosing which character on which track, it's pick Ben, unless it's one of the super handling-based courses with you pick Bullseye. Somehow, both players manage to grind along the death wall and not die.
You know, that wall is normally famous that it blows you up, no matter how you touch it.
Granted, Bowls is one of the most durable pods in the game, but that was still very impressive considering they ground the full length of it.
Wait, is this the first time Metallica is using bowls?
Yes. Hey, that's a lead for Mystery Liquid, it looks like. Yeah, that's a 1 second lead for Mystery Liquid coming out of that. See how this goes. Oh, Metallica dies and Mystery Liquid does not. This is looking very good for him.
Mr. Liquid survived the wall twice in a row.
I know. That's the beauty of bowls. Incredibly fast, incredibly durable. Just can't turn worth a damn.
Yeah, he's as maneuverable for races as if you try to do races with the Death Star.
Yeah. The running joke in the community is Bowls is pod racing on ice. Alright, let's see how he does on the turn this time. Does he grind successfully again? No, he almost did it. Metallica clean through that. This is actually much closer now. One death throws it away from Mystery Liquid. And a bad corner could make this very even. There it is. Yikes.
Oh, it's so hard. Oh.
Yep.
Having a good race and one mistake too much.
Oh, man. He had that, too. That's unfortunate.
That's a lot of match points for Metallica now.
Yeah.
Now, come on, Mr. Liquids, go all out with your track
Show us
choice.
the grab vine. Show us the grab vine. Where are they going? Metallica's response. I didn't practice grab vine a single time. Let's do it. We're going to grab vine gateway. This should be a very fun one. As I've said before, it's one of my favorite tracks in the game. It is brutal.
The track we were all scared of as a kid.
Yeah, actually.
It took me ages to get past it.
It took me less time than Bunta Classic did.
And it was for me, grab mine and Abyss.
Yeah. Well, also as a kid, I didn't realize boosting was a thing.
Oh, then the game is really hard, actually.
Yeah. However, every track can be beaten without boosting. I learned that the hard way. Alright, so, Metallica, who are you picking? Wait, Mystery Liquid? Are you serious? You're picking Elon Mack?
Bold move.
It's a bold move, Cotton. Oh my god.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate a non-symmetrical Podracer?
Yeah, I know. And they didn't even make it so he turns more effectively in that direction. This makes me wonder, did he practice this? Did he practice Elon Mack here?
I have no idea.
It looks like he did.
Elon Mack is actually a good choice for any percent speedruns.
Yeah, he's also surprisingly... Ooh. He's also surprisingly viable in this setting. Probably not on this track, but... He has very solid boosting, decent cooling. He's basically just a slightly worse bowls. He's pretty even with Mahonic.
I'm not sure if he has done any percent before, but...
He has not.
Because he's technically not the best choice there. He's still better than just using EB.
Yes. I do think any percent upgrades Elon Mack might be able to compete.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I'm used to thinking about those categories in no upgrade settings. Ronnie, you missed an adventure. Metallica's just using one of the alternate skins within the game. All it does is change the appearance of the pod. Meanwhile, you're more confused about the Cy Younga than you are about the Elon Mack on Grabvine?
Will we see all pod racers in this tournament?
No.
Oh, you mean Fotsang will not be played?
No. Are we counting both picks and bans as seeing them in the tournament? Because if we're counting both, we might. Because a lot of people are just banning random crap as throwaways when they want to do a Ben mirror.
Yeah, I guess we have seen a Bossy Baranta ban.
You're welcome. I also banned Dud Bolt.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, he's the worst pod in the game, but yeah, this Mac pick is the absolute madman. The thing is, though, it does look like he's practiced Mac here to an extent.
But he couldn't get this corner cut over the hill twice
Yeah.
now.
Bear in mind, he is still a new player. But I mean, he's doing a lot of stuff on Mac that I wouldn't expect him to be able to. I mean, I love playing this pod. I would not go for I would not go for him on this track ever. In fact, I would call Mac my second favorite, just behind Bullseye. Anyway, Metallica looked pretty solid through that. As I say that, they die.
Commentator's curse.
Yeah, this game is so ridiculous on that. But yeah, Metallica's looking solid through it.
Can we see a clean swamp?
I don't know. I'm excited to see. Okay, no death. I'm counting just not dying as clean for Mac.
The swamp is really, really famous. It's one of the hardest parts in the game, and it's also completely unique.
That was very slow, but there were no deaths on Elon Mac. That itself is impressive. Let's see. Alright, let's see how Metallica does. Just getting towards the swamp now. It's a couple of bends to go through. We've got to ask him why he picked Elon Mac here. That's just... I'm stuck on that. Alright. Metallica going aggressive through the swamp. At least for the first bit of it. Oh, a Mystery Liquid with the death top of the lap again. That was an aggressive way to take the swamp for Metallica. Also, it looks like both players are playing on 60 FPS, which is bold. So your frame rate affects your handling, as well as your durability.
You say it's not bold to play on 24 FPS?
No, actually, playing on lower frame rate's better here. The stronger slide and the increased durability are both very good. And that was basically a 5 flat for Metallica. That is very solid. Even with a couple of deaths thrown in there. Alright, now we're gonna get one more swamp showing out of Mystery Liquid on the Mac. But as Ronnie said, Mac don't crack. Oh, except when he explodes.
Alright, as I like to call Elon Mac, Elon Musk.
That joke's too obvious. Excuse me while I open my Elon Mac book. Alright. Doing all... Oh, wait. I was looking at the wrong stream. He did die in this cave. He did die in the swamp this time. That's a little rough.
And fun fact, Anakin Skywalker of all characters is the track favorite for Grappling Gate.
They had to put him
the developers why.
They had to put him as a track favorite somewhere, and his stats actually aren't bad for the track.
I personally would have put him as track favorite in Bunta Training as the very first track, but
So would I. And
don't
make him the
question
unlock.
the developers.
Make him the unlock for Bunta Training.
Yeah.
Alright, and we're going to have Mystery Liquid joining us for a little bit of a post-match interview.
Hello.
Kind of jiggle.
That was a... Why the hell did you pick Elon Mac there?
I don't know, man. I'd never played him before, so I decided to see what he was about.
It didn't
He's
look
about-
like he
he's
played
about
for the
sliding.
first time.
Huh?
He's about sliding.
Yeah, I slid a bit.
No,
Yeah,
he's just about low traction.
it didn't look like you never played him before.
Oh, I never played him before.
Oh. Well, I said multiple times in there that you looked practiced on him on that map.
No.
I wondered if you had some any percent practice with upgrades.
No.
But hey, he made it through. Ish.
I made it through, kinda. I barely boosted at all.
Yeah, that's the problem. Mac's best aspect is his boosting.
Yeah.
It's he's basically Mahonic tier. So he's actually pretty good. He's actually probably better than Mahonic for you specifically because you're pretty used to bowls and they handle similarly.
I like
What?
I like Mahonic.
Yeah.
Yeah. This time I actually felt like I played well, but then I think I posted like 2 lap records in
Yeah.
Polaris, and then I lost by 8 seconds. Like, nope, that's it.
Yeah. Your Scrappers run was actually very good until
Yeah.
lap 3.
Yeah.
You were ahead until the first crash.
No, it was the last crash that threw it. That first one, he stole the lead.
Barely.
It was enough of one.
Yeah, I was like I think I was barely keeping my engines up, and then there's like the what was it we played? Andovi? Yeah, Andovi.
Yeah, Adobe Mountain Run.
Like the entirety of lap 2, I was desperately trying to keep my engines above like dark orange the entire time.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a fun one to watch, even if it wasn't super competitive. It was just cool to see some of the jank stuff that went on.
Yeah.
Also, that Bumpies was an adventure.
And you just went for the bowls in those tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I went for it because I broke literally all of my Mahonic records with bowls in like 2 hours last night. So
Just stick with it.
yeah.
Yeah, he's hard to learn, but once you do, he's one of the best in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Metallica's doing a Bunta Classic victory lap on Sebulba for some reason.
Because he can.
Yeah, why not?
Do it.
Anyway, we should probably wrap it up there. There is another event going on right after us, so we should probably cede the channel over to them.
Later.
Yes, thank you to both our runners. Thank you to Andy Panther for joining me on commentary. Thank you to all the viewers, and thank you to Speed Gaming for letting us use your platform. We will see you all next time.
See ya.
Yeah, why not? Anyway, we should probably wrap it up there. There is another event going on right after us, so we should probably cede the channel over to them. Yes, thank you to both our runners. Thank you to Andy Panther for joining me on commentary. Thank you to all the